Cantina, please remember to those Wookie bartenders 20%. No droids, no bounty hunters, no Raylos. I'm being stalked by my dog right now. Come here. What are you doing? He was just outside, but he's still being a baby. Anyway, and he doesn't want to hang out. He wants to go do stuff. He might not end up in his house. We shall see. Anyway, so today I was watching Sci-Fi for Me and started thinking about how I kind of got involved with kind of fighting for the culture. And back in I don't know, the mid 2000, like around 2006, 2007, I was part of a website called Libertas. And a bunch of movie nerds got together and talked about what was good, bad, and everything else. And John Nolte, who runs Big Hollywood at Breitbart, was the admin and the main guy there for the two people who owned Libertas. And it was a very interesting time. You were watching, I think a lot of people starting to get really uncomfortable with a lot of things going on. It seemed like the longer things went on, the less diverse voices were heard in the culture. And this had been going on for decades. I mean, ever since the 80s. We could talk about who was the first person canceled by Hollywood, and it would be John Milius. When he made Red Dawn, they literally shit their pants. Be right back. But you will hear my voice. And it was sad because the movie he made, Red Dawn, really wasn't a bad movie in of itself. I mean, it was basically a what if thing. Hey, Bone. Okay, that's fine. Hit the like button, please. Yeah, please hit the likes, and if you haven't subbed, please sub. But that was the first cancellation of anybody that I remember. Then Howard Cosell. Because he said something that he said every day to his grandchildren. He said it about a football player, and the world melted down. This is in the 80s, when when the internet was a nascent thing, and it was just a bad move for them to do that, but they did it. Howard Cosell, who championed Muhammad Ali and all the black athletes, gets canceled for saying something that wasn't racist at all. But what happens is people who are, Howard Cosell was a liberal. He was a liberal, but people didn't like him. John Milius, a libertarian, and Hollywood was literally looking for an excuse, I think, to get rid of him. Okay, and they he hasn't gone yet. He did suffer a very serious stroke. Hopefully, we'll see some more things from him in the future. But it's been a hard road to hoe. He was one of the producers behind Rome, which was a fantastic TV show. But that's the last thing he's done. This is a man who is best friends with Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, and when you think about what he accomplished in a pretty short career, it's nothing short of amazing. He wrote and directed, I think, one of the greatest movies of all time, The Wind and the Lion. He also wrote and he did direct Conan. He wrote Apocalypse Now. The soliloquy that Robert Shaw does as Captain Quint in Jaws, talking about the USS Indianapolis, he dictated 10 pages of that over the phone to Steven Spielberg. And Robert Shaw, who's a brilliant playwright himself, synthesized that to 5 because he was like, this is all brilliant, but I can't remember all this. And it was very interesting because Milius was able to do it off the top of his head. But he was the first cancellation, and then you had Howard Cosell. But that's when this started. And it really got going after 2012. I think the hardcore leftists seeing that Barack Obama easily defeated Mitt Romney. But I'm going to say there's probably some monkey business going on with the voting then. I mean, we're talking about a Chicago guy. Okay. I know Chicago. My mom grew up there. I tell you stories. That's when this all started. And, you know, I was already a devotee of the Andrew Breitbart school of thought. Culture is upstream from politics. It evens things out. Let's put it that way. It takes things like gay marriage and other things that weren't accepted in society and makes them acceptable, which is neither here nor there. I'm not here to judge that. But now you see them talking about, you know, sexualizing children, exposing them to softcore porn. Probably bestiality is coming. Probably, I mean, I've heard Barbara Streisand say, pedophiles can't help it. They should be allowed to explore their own sexuality. Barbara Streisand said that. I kid you not. She said that. And I'm like, what the fuck? But this is where we're at. And if you stand up and say, no, that is unacceptable, you are in trouble. Jennifer Aniston today in People magazine basically said she had to give up being friends with certain people and family members because they weren't exactly happy with the vaccine for COVID. You know, this is where we're at. They divide people over things that are immoral. And I'm going to say this right now. As someone who believes in individual liberty, I think it should be up to you to get a vaccine. They've shown that the vaccine really doesn't work to keep people safe from COVID. You can still get it. You're not going to get it as bad. That's all. Okay. So there's really nothing in the vaccine that's going to keep you completely safe from this. And the virus looks like it's behaving like the flu. I don't get a flu vaccine. You want to know why? Because it's never for the flu that's going currently. It's for the flu from last year. That virus mutates every 3 days. That's what they do. So by the time you get vaccinated for one, you're 3 viruses away from the next one. All right. Because the one that's catching on. Okay, so why do we fight? Andrew Breitbart started out as a liberal. And I'm going to give you a short kind of view because I really kind of want to get, time is it? I want to be done in like 15 minutes, maybe 20. All right, 25 minutes. Okay. He, went to college, was very interested in like the alternative rock scene, punk, and all the rest of that stuff. But he saw things going on. And he went to work for Arianna Huffington. He was the one that actually helped her get the Huffington Post started. And oh boy, the stuff I've heard about that woman is scary. Hey, Bone. Oh God, I feel bad about that. That's too bad. Ick. All right, so he helped her start that out. Then he's worked with Matt Drudge. Learned a lot from him. But he's seeing how the culture is basically betraying normal people, regular people, the audience. Why are we all here? We're the audience and we're getting curb stomped by these disconnected, echo chamber dwelling left-wing lunatics. Okay. And he saw that. He saw that. He understood it and wanted to do something about it. So he starts Breitbart.com and starts collecting individuals. Ben Shapiro, my friend Gary Graham, yeah, that Gary Graham from Star Trek. John Nolte went from Libertas to Breitbart, and Libertas it just kind of faded away, which is too bad because there were some very interesting discussions going on, very high-minded intellectual stuff. And then you get the occasional troll, and then we'd all, fall on the troll like, you know, fall on the troll like, an avalanche. Um, you know, but there were plenty of people. Mike Flynn, who recruited me, God bless his soul, he died the same way Andrew did. Boom, gone. Very young, great guy. But these people weren't necessarily. I mean, I have another friend, a gay friend, who is in Hollywood. He's an actor, a photographer, and a great writer. He wrote a wonderful book about Tony Perkins. These guys aren't your typical, moral majority. Pat Robertson. You know how Hollywood likes to portray conservatives. They're not. Rick Grenell is a conservative. He's a married gay guy. Okay, we'll go through all the black conservatives that I know that contributed to Breitbart and still do today. They were seeing things going on. Probably not. I want to talk about this. They were seeing things going on in the culture they didn't like. A lot of friends of mine, I have a really wonderful Jewish friend who had been a Democrat her whole life until 9/11. And then she saw how the Democrats basically abandoned their voter base. I could tell you what happened on 9/11. For me, I was, I will never forget the Saturday after it happened, sitting there at the Arlington Silver Diner in DC after going to see the hole in the Pentagon. And there were a bunch of us young DC professionals, sitting there eating late breakfast because we'd been out all night before, drunk, was what we did. And we were talking about it. And I said, in 2 weeks, they're going to blame the president. They're going to say he knew about it. This is what the Democrats are doing. 2 weeks, a Democrat congresswoman named Cynthia McKinney started spreading a rumor and a conspiracy theory that Bush knew about it and allowed it to happen. Now, if you're smart, wait a minute. What? When you look at the planning of the event, it took them years to get that all set up. There was a lot of math involved. Like, how much fuel would it take to bring down those buildings, which was their intent? Okay, it was their intent, which is exactly what they did. This wasn't let's just go do this. That's not how it happened. It was a systematic strategy and it was tactics. All right. They exploited weaknesses in the immigration system. Because Americans, we're good-hearted people. We really, really are. And we let ourselves continuously get kicked in the ass by people who hate our guts. And the reason why is because we think everybody's supposed to like us. We're like the big golden retriever in the room, wagging our tail and flipping over, Thailand. Okay. So it came as a shock. All right. But to sit there and say the new president, he'd only been president for 9 months, the gestation of a baby, human baby, new was to me, but this is where we were at. This is when this started. And Hollywood has always, ever since I was probably in high school, probably in high school. They started to lean left. You know, you had the ravings of Robert Redford, the ravings of Barbara Streisand. You know, they're the king and queen of the Democrat machine in Hollywood. You know, then Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks got involved, which makes me sad because it kind of tarnishes them. You know, there's a way of doing, I mean, Spielberg goes out and does all that stuff, but at least he doesn't overtly every day insult over half the country. You know, not like Mark Hamill, but there were people who did that. I mean, Barbara Streisand has no problem, but she also believes her own press and thinks the sun rises and sets out of her big fat ass. Okay. I don't like her. All right. I don't. That movie she made with Nick Nolte, she played the therapist who he has an affair with. She basically played herself. She really does think she is the most beautiful woman on the planet. And she did back then. And if you look at her, it's like, no, she looks like the female version of Adam Driver, in my opinion. I mean, she's, you know, she's a great voice. I don't like her. I don't like her for her hubris and in her lack of humility. Okay. I really don't like people who don't have any humility. It pisses me off. And there's a reason why there are YouTubers and podcasters. There was one featured today that I just can't stand because he has absolutely no humility. He fakes being a victim, he starts arguments, and then acts like he didn't do anything wrong. And frames the narrative that it's the person he was attacking, their fault. And it's like, you started it. You're the one who fucking started it. Yeah, Prince of Tides. You know, so stop it. Find some humility. You know, I don't get it. I don't understand. And because, guess what? Life is going to beat your ass into the ground. All right? So the lack of humility in Hollywood is huge. Taika Waititi has none. I'm trying to figure out why. In my opinion, when I look at the great directors of the cinema, he couldn't carry John Ford's cowboy hat. All right? He's not a follicle. He's not a hair follicle on. He's not a hair follicle on Francis Ford Coppola's beard. Okay, think about it. So I sit back and I go, fine, fine, okay, fine. You guys don't have to be humble. You don't have to be gracious. You don't have to treat people with respect. You can live in your little left-wing echo chamber and think everybody who doesn't think like you resembles people who were fanatics that lived in Germany in the 1930s. Not true, by the way. They purposely taken definitions and changed them. Okay. You know, Matt Damon has the courage to go and actually play a real American. And now he's being attacked by Twitter and he's standing up to cancel culture. Okay, good for him. I got into a Twitter argument with him. You know, he's still a Boston Democrat, you know, who was raised next door to Howard fucking Zinn. That's the neighborhood he grew up in. You think he's a little special mommy's boy? Yeah, yeah. You know, there are rumors that Howard Zinn wrote Good Will Hunting. Probably did. Probably. He was part of that cabal. And he was mentioned highly in that movie. The guy wrote one of the trashiest historical pieces of, I would say, fiction. It's a textbook. People use it about American history, called The History of the American People. You know, you've got other ones out there that were much, much better. But this is what we're dealing with. So, why we fight? First off, if we don't fix what's broken, and this is on all of us, not just, you know, if you're like people I know in my own family who say, well, I haven't seen a movie in 20 years, you're not part of the culture. You are part of the problem, though. If you find out one of your friends was never encouraged by your parents to be a singer, that's not me, by the way, a painter, a writer, you'll never make it. You want to know why? We're where we're at. It's because people like that. It's because, I'm going to say this, the people that go to the Trump rallies who are shocked at what's going on never thought about what they were exposing their kids to until it was too late. And they should have stood up decades ago. Okay, now we're here. Andrew Breitbart, who's the thumbnail for this, was the one that said culture's upstream from politics. The reason why we're talking about, the reason why we have gay marriage is because they had it everywhere in the 90s. Okay, and to combat it, the moral majority and the Christian coalition, people I don't respect, come here and lay down. Come on, come. Get over here. Come on. Lay down. The moral majority came up with the Defense of Marriage Act. Now, I'm going to say this. The government should not have anything to say about an actual marriage. If two people want to form a partnership, no problem in that. They wanted to get the government involved to defend marriage. And look what we got now. And the reason why the Supreme Court said, hey, this is wrong, is because, I can't remember what it was, but I can't remember why, and it was Justice Kennedy basically said, this stands in the way of basically individual I can't remember what he said, but it was pretty much a constitutional reason why. And guess what? Everything that these morons thought they could get was gone. All right, this is not how you defeat people. This is not how you win. All right, you don't use the government to say, just tell somebody what you do in the privacy of your own home is illegal. And but it got started in the culture, in movies, TV shows. Will and Grace. You had a gay marriage in Friends. Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And it tumbled into that. Okay. The moral majority and these hardcore, in-your-face, so-called conservatives, who I think should be put in a burlap bag with the liberals that hate them, and hang the burlap bag on a hook and let them beat each other up until whoever's left, then the rest of us can go in and squash them. Okay. You've got people standing at their pimples on the ass of progress, as my dad would say. Not a lovely thing to say, but it's true. Okay. I understand where Andrew was. You know what? You're going in your house. He was just outside, so he's being a jerk right now. Just a minute. Come on. House. Come on. Come on. Come. Get in there. Go on. Mommy has had enough of that. Okay, I'm back. So, Andrew saw all that stuff happening and saw that instead of having people within the entertainment community, Hollywood, the film industry, the TV industry, the music industry, and the publishing industry, having people that were not necessarily Pat Robertsons and Jerry Falwells. Not that I'm going to say that people like that are bad. They're not. Some of the greatest people I know went to Liberty University. So I'm not going to say anything about that. But you need people who believe and freedom, who believe in this country, who love this country, to have a voice in these industries. Because right now what we're getting is propaganda, and that's exactly what Andrew said. Again, culture is upstream from politics. So, now you've got them in Hollywood talking about easing restrictions on pedophilia. And people on Twitter saying that kids should be exposed to softcore porn because they're so uncomfortable with sex. I have a theory about that. I'm not going to get into it, but it's so stupid and so disgusting to me. I can't even. Your kids aren't supposed to have a childhood anymore, okay? All right. What do we do? How do we fight back? Well, you don't support. What you do is this. You support the things that are fine. The Mandalorian. Okay. Cobra Kai. Stuff like that. They need to know what they're doing right when they're doing it right. Because ultimately, and I'm going to get pragmatic and I'm going to get my little money hat on. It comes down to money. And for a long time, these people were just shoving shit out there. I know Planet Musk. I know that. And that's I could talk about the history of Hollywood. Some of the stuff I've heard about. You get in the way back machine and go back. You'd be like, holy shit. I mean, Hollywood's always been a den of deranged pus. Okay? I'm not kidding. It's gotten worse now. Okay, way worse. Because they don't feel like they have to have a I guess wholesome image anymore. It's like, it's not that we want you wholesome. We don't want to hear about your shit everywhere we go. Like when you see a Hollywood actor, actress, somebody who works for a film studio with pronouns in their bio. Why? What kind of thinking goes into that? Why do they think the people that it's like, but this is, again, these are the people that went after Gina Carano. Gina Carano isn't a member of the moral majority. She's not. Okay. I doubt I don't think she goes to mass. She's Italian, so she probably was baptized and confirmed. All right. I'm going to assume that. But she's not a member of that. She doesn't. What she does is she brings up common sense. Okay, she asked questions they didn't want to have to answer, and they didn't want her asking. That's all that is, okay? But we need voices like her out there. Now, we need people in the mainstream like her. I disagree with her going along with Ben Shapiro because, as somebody who did some stuff with Breitbart, I've been aware of Ben for a long time. Nice guy. I'm not sure if getting herself involved with a conservative filmmaker is the right thing. Mel Gibson is not a leftist. He comes off as a libertarian. Kurt Russell's a libertarian. Okay. They don't know what to do with people like that. And that's the thing is that when you approach life like, I have no fucks to give who you fuck, just don't do it in front of me. I don't care if you smoke dope. I think it should be legal. I think marijuana should be legal. Okay. I don't do it. Now, if I was in pain and the doctor said if you take this, it'll ease the pain a little bit, I probably would. Okay. But it's not an opioid. That's the thing about marijuana. It's not an opioid, and I won't touch those with a 10-foot pole. But we need people like that are untouchable, to put things out there that are opposite of what Ryan Johnson puts out there, the opposite of what Kathleen Kennedy wants to see, the opposite of what Patty Jenkins and Brie Larson and all the rest of that detritus want. Okay. Fat Man, Mel Gibson's Christmas movie from last year. Great movie. And I gotta say this. When he brings up the phrase participation trophy, I was watching it, cuddled up with my puppy. We were watching it, and we're like, Kojak's on me, what the fuck, Mom? But it was great because he said something that needed to be said in Hollywood. So where's the culture going to go? It's independent. As Retroblasting says, until they really get a handle on, and I'm going to add my own, until they get a handle on Star Wars and getting it right, which they're slowly but surely doing it. Just do your own fanfic. All right, I got mine. I got to do another chapter. I'm going to do that tonight after I eat dinner tonight. I made a really good pasta bolognese. It's really good. I'm not kidding. It's freaking awesome. It's startlingly good. Okay, so I'm gonna make pappardelle pasta with it, and it's, I'll only have a little, and I'm gonna eat a salad. That's what I'm mostly gonna have, but the rest of it I'm gonna save, because this stuff's good. And I'm just letting it kind of cook down and get all whatever. But the thing about it that I'm talking about here is why we fight. Because we want good stuff to watch. We want the franchises that we love to be respected. We want the kids growing up to believe in heroes. These people, yeah, I am a geek. No, I'm a nerd. Don't ever call me a geek. I don't. No, geeks are, they're not the smart end of the fandom. Okay? We want our kids to grow up with heroes. All right? We want our kids to grow up not just with Marcus Luttrell's and Chuck Yeager's, and that's all right, Planet Musk. We want them to grow up with Han Solo and Indiana Jones and Luke Skywalker and Superman the way we knew Superman. Hey, Legendary Tron, how you doing, man? Very famous guy from Echo Base, and I love him very, very much. It's good to see you here, buddy. We want kids to see this. It's not that difficult. Yeah, look, being a human being is hard enough. But when you take away the things that make people happy, when you take away the things that give children ideas, dare to dream. Star Wars gave me a dream. I didn't get to live it, but, God had other plans, okay? Kids growing up today don't have those. They don't. And that is sad. But the reason why they don't have those is because they're being destroyed by people like Pablo Hidalgo, by Kathy Kennedy, telling little girls they're more valuable than boys, telling little white boys that they're racists. That's what these people do, okay? There's a reason why there's a pushback against critical race theory. Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you very much for dropping in, man. There's a reason why critical race theory is getting this crap kicked out of it. It's not right to do that to kids. Kids need their fictional heroes. They need to go out and pretend to be Luke and Han and Leia, and you dress the dog up like a Wookiee and they go save the world. They need to pretend like they're Christopher Reeve's Superman. Okay? How hard is it to make things that are positive? for kids. But the same people who shit all over white male heroes, like the Brian Youngs, and we all know who he is, and the Jason Wards, you know, the same people who do that are the same ones who want to see kids get into softcore porn. They're the same ones that sit there and give excuses for pedophilia. Think about it. Okay, why we fight? Because if we don't, and it's going to be incrementally, if we can pull Star Wars back together, if we can pull it back and help Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, if we can do that, we'll have won a victory. Not the battle, not the war, but we'll have won a major battle. Okay? And here's my thing, and I think Andrew, God bless his soul, boy, that was a horrible day. That was when I woke up and looked on the news on my phone, I was like, holy shit, what the? So I got a hold of my friend, who's a movie producer, and she was sobbing. She was hysterical. Andrew meant the world to a lot of people in Hollywood that didn't have any place to go because they were afraid to say anything. Okay, Gary Graham has no fucks to give. He'll say whatever he wants. Okay, Nick Searcy is a friend of mine. You remember him from The Fugitive? He played the sheriff. Okay, he was in Justified. He played the boss. Okay, he's a friend of mine. In fact, next time he's in Carlisle, I'm gonna have him over here for dinner. And my husband will be like, "Oh my God, here we go." Great guy. Okay, they don't care. They've been able to get their thing out there, and there is a subculture that is not Kevin Sorbo, Scott Baio, conservative ghetto. They still make mainstream movies. But there's a subculture of people out there that make good movies that don't follow those rules. And they can't be canceled because they don't give a fuck. Okay. These are the people you support. You support Mandalorian. You support Jon Favreau. You support buying classic, when they come out with a new OT figure of Luke or Han or Leia or Chewbacca, Vader, Anakin, whatever. You go out and buy that. You go out and you buy these. I haven't, I've read this book so many times, but I just got it. You go out and buy this. Yeah, James Woods. He is very outspoken. James Woods is hugely outspoken. But you go out, oh, and I got, if you guys haven't seen this, I got this too. Okay. You don't think the EU is going to come back and play a big role in what Favreau and Filoni have coming? You be wrong. And I've already said my piece about what Pablo said about there's no civil war. There's a huge civil war going on at Lucasfilm, and it's over. And someone's got to tell them that, hey, you know what? Civil War at Lucasfilm, there isn't one anymore because it's over and you guys lost. So what are you doing now? Okay. It's very interesting to me how, how these guys, like Chris Burgard, he's a rancher, but he's doing stuff with Nick. They're making a movie together. But they're there. These guys were allowed a voice by Andrew Breitbart. Okay. To keep up his spirit, to keep that fuck you attitude he had. Because they tried to cancel him and they couldn't. I mean, he was like, bite me. To keep up that attitude, we have to support what's good. And we have to just ignore what's bad. If you go to Target and you're looking for the essential Legends books, Path of Destruction, Heir to the Empire, don't buy the High Republic. They're going to sit there and rot. Disney needs to see that. Disney needs to see where the money is basically where good money after bad is. And financing some bullshit that was sitting on a whiteboard with a bunch of angry, overindulgent, self-pitying, self-loathing SJW pricks was the biggest mistake I think they've ever made. Okay, allowing Kennedy any leeway to sneak around behind the Bob's backs to get Leslie Forehead for the acolyte. Bullshit. But you can't just fire the bitch. But you can take away her power. Okay? And we're seeing it play out. We're seeing it play out. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about this, why we fight, and the fight is worth it. Again, if we can help Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau fix what's broken, and we can get our heroes back, and we can see little boys dressed up like Luke and Han again, which is what I want to see for Halloween, I would be like, we've got this. Little girls dressed up as Leia. Feminine. Loving themselves as little girls, not trying to be little boys. I'll let you go with this when I think about that, because Andre did a video about the lack of reality in He-Man's, the women in He-Man now, and how they're built. The only thing a woman can really compete with a man in is riding horses. And, oh yeah, Planet Musk, is riding horses and shooting. That's it. All right. You don't see Gina Carano going in and fighting guys in MMA, do you? No. All right. You see trans women. No, why would? God, bone. You don't see, you see trans women winning all kinds of athletic events, except for the idiot who tried to do the weightlifting thing and, lost his balance, and lost, and it was hilarious. But, trans women kick the shit out of the girls. There's a reason why governors like Ron DeSantis, Greg Abbott, Kristi Noem are saying no to this. I know it was a joke. Ha. Like I said, you put me on the trap line, and I'll outshoot any guy out there on a good day. I will. All right? Rifle shooting, maybe. Pistol shooting, it's a learning curve for me still, but I'm getting better. But shotguns, you better know it. All right? You better know you're up against me. All right? And I don't care if you're a guy or a girl. I'll never forget the first time I beat my brother. I'm looking at him going, he's like, you little shit. And I was like, but riding, the Olympic events, for equestrian events, there are women and men competing against each other. The horses are the ones that actually are the great equalizer, okay? But that's it. You don't see women's teams playing men's teams in basketball or soccer. So there you go. So when I see, teachers lying to little girls, saying you're stronger than a boy and all the rest of that shit, which is bullshit. And you see the little girl get her ass kicked in a fight by a guy, she lied to. Okay, anyway, I gotta go because I want to get a workout in, and it's getting kind of close. So I'll see you guys around the galaxy. Remember, the fight is worth it. It's worth it. It really, really is. Because, and remember, this is a battle in a war. We win this battle, we go to the next one. And then we go on to the next thing. Anyway, and I'm being bugged by my dog. So see you guys later. See you around the galaxy and have a good evening. Oh, and Cameron Pasha is going to be on Force of Light Entertainment tonight at 7 Eastern. So be there, be square. Talk to y'all later. Bye.